The Horus Heresy release falls flat. Again?
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Bear from SpikyBits.com, and in this video, we're gonna get a little spicy. So, Saturnine came out over the weekend. I heard from a lot of stores and a lot of players, and I started looking into trends, and I was just like, ooh, this is 2022 all over again. So what am I talking about? Am I just a talking head that's trying to rage bait you into being mad about the Saturnine box set? No, I think we got some solid evidence and some solid trends here to look at that can really support the conclusion that Heresy didn't do as well for Games Workshop as they thought it did. But our new tagline here on the channel is going to be, instead of somehow Palpatine returned, somehow Games Workshop still makes money, because it is fascinating, I would say mind-boggling, to a lot of folks out there in the industry as to how Games Workshop can be such a bad actor as a company. Now, there's talented folks at all sorts of different departments, but I think that's where things get convoluted. Like the interactions between departments we've shown in the past are very weird, and they almost treat it like spy departments, like the CIA or the MI6 over there, where one, they can literally be in a room next to each other and not know what the next room is working on for months and years on end. And it just baffles me that there isn't that hive mind of sorts to get things done and to have a singular purpose and to make sure that the rollout is the best for every product, and that consumers and stores have the opportunity to at least get a decent amount of it to make the money. Because I heard from more than one account out there that they're like, okay, cool, I made a couple grand off Heresy, but I've been effed for 6 months now. And oh, by the way, Final Fantasy Magic is just crushing it. Like, I don't even know why I carry Games Workshop anymore. And it's a detriment, because it is a developing situation with the 3D printing dynamic, the constant out of stocks, and just the fact that there's always additional hoops to jump through, as we saw with these bundles, that it didn't quite go sideways with the bundle for Horus Heresy like we talked about, but the bundle actually turned out to be OP in a lot of sorts. So let's get into it. That was a very long-winded intro, and I appreciate everybody's patience there. Of course, you won't even see this in the short, but let's just get right into it here. So straight up, this box set, if you are getting into Horus Heresy, is a great value. It is, however, the most expensive starter set or bundle box Games Workshop has ever made at $315. But as we showed you in our value breakdown here that we've been doing for years and years and years and years, you get an incredible amount of value here. So I think that is something to not sneeze at. And if you can get this box, or you can get this box at a great deal, or for even cheaper, because a lot of times you can get these at 15% off, I really think you should if you're considering to get in Horus Heresy. But I want you to consider the rest of what I'm going to say kind of about this developing situation here. So yes, while there are 50 models in this box, it's an incredible value. The release really raises a lot of red flags for us. So here you can see, if the stores hadn't bought the bundle of other products offered for this release, they wouldn't have had any other Marine releases to sell, actually, which is a very weird situation in my opinion. The Games Workshop put all their eggs into this Horus Heresy basket to throw it out there, and literally the main faction is almost completely sold out with no estimated restock time. And this is before the starter set came out. Like, these things have been sold out for a long time. So here, check it out. Go to Games Workshop's site and you'll see what's actually in stock. And it's not a lot. It's the most recent stuff. Remember, these were releases like 2 weeks ago. This is a new release this week. These came out in December-ish, I believe. And then you've got the large, expensive tanks. But other than that, and one of the command squads, other than that, I think weren't those direct? I think those were direct order, actually. So I don't think you could actually get those from stores. But everything else, including one of the new releases, is literally sold out. This is exactly, well, It's similar to what happened in 2022 with the Age of Darkness release, when people literally were unable to build their armies, which resulted in most stores selling off Horus Heresy up to 50% off that Black Friday. So here was our article we did back in 2022. It didn't take long for stuff to sell out and never come, well, not never, but it didn't come back in stock to keep people's interest. But here's a look at what they had available for sale back in October of 2022. And just to give you an idea, you couldn't get the basics. You couldn't get troops, you couldn't get Kratos again, you couldn't get drop pods, you couldn't get rhinos, you couldn't get the things to build. You couldn't even get the bundles that they put out, nothing. You couldn't get it. And and then they did the doggos, and that was hilarious. The most memed product in the history of ever. So then, like I said, in November 2022, resulted in a lot of folks just basically dumping Heresy. So fast forward to 2025, and I would say we're at disappointment level midnight. So despite all the marketing, the Horus Heresy site, but the site they made up with all the rumors that may or may not be true that kind of happened before the leak and then kind of became irrelevant after the leak. Nearly 2 months of previews, just all that effort put into this release just to see it fall flat on its first day has to be a real disappointment for Games Workshop, for the shops, and for stores all around the world that wanted this to do well, especially during a very slow sales period. They weren't able to capitalize on the Grand Cathay release because it was tied to how many bundles you were supposedly supposed to buy. That didn't go well for anybody. And now we have this, where we've already shown you, if you go over to, actually, I didn't show you this, but let's go over there right now. So if you go to the Horus Heresy, or you go to Games Workshop's website, click it, just come in like you want to pre-order this thing, and boom, it's available. Not only is that available, but if you click on anything else here, we go to all pre-orders, you're gonna see that pretty much everything is still available except for, I think, one of the limited edition items. Nope, both of them. Oh no, this one's sold out. So this map here is sold out, but literally every other product on Monday morning after the release is available. This release has fallen flat already, and it hasn't fallen flat for any other reason except for, well, I don't know. I think the only difference between this release and the release in 2022, perhaps, really is that the majority of the models were still, in fact, playable Warhammer 40K for the Age of Darkness box, until dozens were removed to Legends in 2023 with the release of 10th edition. If you remember, they made a big deal about the Leviathan Dreadnought that came out. That was only legal for a couple of months before it became Legends and you couldn't play with it in 40K. So in conclusion, I kind of think Games Workshop was acting poorly and didn't have everybody's best interest in mind, perhaps, for relaunching this game when they can't even stock their shelves ahead of time. There's obviously very little crossover for this product in Warhammer 40K, and 40K seems to be driving all sales for Games Workshop. I mean, look at Old World, look at Sigmar, look at every other game that basically is always in stock on Games Workshop, whereas 40K is not. So they just simply cannot keep up with the demand there. It's what's pushing all things. So they pushed the product with little or no demand on stores, without a supporting product line in stock, to have things available for people that do actually buy Saturnine, right? So fortunately, there was this bundle and stores were allowed to get one of them. And I heard from a couple of stores, they were like, hey, that stuff was actually, I wasn't able to get any of it. So it was good that I could pick this up. And that is true. So there is a little bit of a silver lining, but if it wasn't for that, there wouldn't be much else for players to pick up, which seems to put a huge emphasis on Games Workshop was just doing this to acquire new customers. So focusing on, or an emphasis on, new customer acquisition and current quarter profits above all else, which seems to be the thing that is making Games Workshop that money. So until we change, things aren't going to get any better. But I don't know. I've talked enough. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments below of what you think of all of this. Everything we showed you here, the way things have been going for the last 6 to 8 months at game stores, why Games Workshop can make so much of this starter set and not of the battle forces and the things that customers actually want for Warhammer 40K. It's just all very puzzling.
Thanks for watching. Supporting us is super easy. Just click on the article links provided, subscribe, or follow us right here. And remember, next time you're searching for the best Warhammer news, type Spiky Bits into Google to get the most accurate info. See you in the next one.